The following program deals with mature subject matter and contains sexually explicit material and scenes of coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Boys on my left side, boys on my right side, boys in the middle, and you're not here. I need a big loan from the girl zone. This fire is hot and my cells can't feed, but you still got that bell dragging your foot, yeah. I'm hiding it well, Sister Ernestine, but I still got that bell dragging my foot, yeah. Caught a light sneeze, dreamed a little dream, made my own pretty hate machine. Boys on my left side, boys on my right side, boys in the middle, and you're not here. I need a big loan from the girl zone. I need a big loan from the girl zone. I need a big loan from the girl zone. Boys on my left side, boys on my right side, boys in the middle, and you're not here. This episode of Luther's Advocate is especially for women. Rather than quote those dudes that I usually quote, I'm going to quote women for a change. I'm actually not overly feminist or biased one way or the other, but I am a woman, and when I'm around women or I talk to other women, there's a definitely female energy going on that's very attractive and smart and funny and understanding and strong. And I think most men would agree that we can be kind of gorgeous in our many different styles and ways. So I don't think that they would deny us this special episode. Nor do I think that they would deny that just once in a while they wished they could tap into emotion like we do, or at least just every so often be in touch with whatever it is as we are. Besides, I'm going to make them their own show one day anyways. I adore men, and well, just like I adore women, and I think that they have their own unique beauty as a species, as we do. And if you guys watch this show, you might recognize how much you actually identify with the feminine, perhaps especially if you're getting a little older, that you're starting to gravitate towards a more womanly part of yourself. My first quote is from a Canadian doctor named Marion Hillard, and she says, "Femaleness, as any doctor will tell you, is savage." As women, we have a biological and a spiritual and an innermost need to be wild. Like animals, emotion is never very far away from us. So we meow and we purr and we bark and we hiss and we moo and we moan. So despite the fact that we are ladies, we actually have a style that's not seen as very ladylike. Our inner can contradict our outer, which is often laced up or masked or proper and put together, and dare I say it, sometimes seemingly fragile. Is that a word, seemingly? Anyways, just sounded wrong. Obviously, I'm not a totally put together female. And so anyways, that wild, noisy side that sometimes wants to bite life is often muzzled from the time that we are very young. I don't know how it is now, really, because I don't mother a female or have a close friend with a daughter. But I remember when I was growing up, it was like this in society. I remember a famous nursery rhyme, as you probably do. What are little girls made of? What are little girls made of? Sugar and spice and all things nice. That's what little girls are made of. What are little boys made of? What are little boys made of? Frogs and snails and puppy dog tails. That's what little boys are made of. So ick. Of course it's okay to swear and burp and fart and punch and complain and be gruff or violent and even pull the stinky underwear fibers out of your and show them to your buddies for fun if you're a guy. Not that we would have a desire as women to do this necessarily, and I'm sure it doesn't sound appealing to a lot of guys. This poem does, in fact, express a universal truth about women. We can be very sweet and polite, and it's in our interest to be ladies. It's a survival tactic not to take too many risks or to roughhouse it and live on the wild side a lot of the time. As Marie Corelli said, when women are depressed, they either eat or go shopping. Men invade another country. But these kinds of nursery rhymes that I was talking about a minute ago put up the red flag immediately for girls to show their animal. And we are animals. There's sort of a covert and sometimes overt belief that females don't produce as much gas as men. And that's not true. I googled it. Sorry guys. We don't make a lot of harsh noise, which our voice boxes naturally produce. We don't have the same sort of instincts and urges, apparently, because of a lack of testosterone. And we don't lash out at something threatening as an animal would, because we are full of self-control and niceties. Well, most of us often are very nice, and we love affectionately, and we forgive, and long to right wrongs. And we express these feelings sometimes like a hyena, that giggle, pussy, whiny, dangerous, destructive animal. Once I was with a man shopping in a quiet grocery store, and I picked up a long cucumber and I put it up to myself before I put it in the plastic bag and pretended I had a long penis. And he looked at me very disgusted and said, "You know, you look like a real whore doing that." And I laughed, kind of embarrassed and wondering if I did look like a whore. And then later I came to my senses and I made a big production and reminded him how crude he usually is in front of his friends and people he feels close to. And I stormed out and left him alone for the rest of the evening so that he could think about it and hopefully apologize, which he did, so I accepted his apology. Attorney Leslie Breckner says, "I may be a but I'm a with a heart of gold." I think the thing about women is that we are this very particular mixture of raw beastliness combined with a civilized softness. And when we live too much on the one side, we feel a longing and an emptiness. And in some cases, we may act out neurotically because of that. Now, I'm not saying that the cucumber episode was acting out neurotically or acting out harshly. No, we have a total right to be very angry in situations where we're not given the same leeway and we're being totally human. But sometimes we lash out in ways that we regret afterwards because when we feel constantly discouraged from having that leeway, it builds up and reaches a pressure point. We're quite happy when we're allowed to be the female species and be sensitive and be curious and questioning and climb all over the furniture, so to speak, or lick people when they come into a room, so long as we don't have to, dry out our moist lips or betray our lovers in doing it. Ladies are pretty positive creatures with great imagination for joyous adventures. And for the most part, we're not terribly grumpy unless we're threatened in some way by someone or something taking away something or someone that we hold dear. We love to spread our inner knowledge about how necessary it is to remain connected to one's emotional side. We have a knowing about this, and we like to spread our knowing about how necessary it is to be connected to our primal first nature, and we also like to spread our vibes, our good vibes most of the time, throughout our pack in our own wildish way.
Just a minute of your time, yes. I've been known to delude myself, so let me put those rose-colored glasses to the test. Now, is this real enough for you? 'Cause blondes here don't jump out of cakes. If that never impressed you much, come board this lunatic express. Then I tried once to comply with an authority that would subsidize my wild side, but at this altar was sacrificed. And when I hear of one more bomb, yes, we have all been robbed of song and nightingales who throw their arms up when is enough enough. Chin up, put on a pair of these rosies, raise those blinds. Chin up, a happy mask will stand for your best disguise. Chin up, put on a pair of these rosies. In no time, you will feel almost fine, almost rosy. Hey, hey, hey.
I definitely think that some young men could take a lesson from some women on how to be more searching into the other's reality, putting yourself in a woman's shoes as we tend to put ourselves in your shoes, in your moments of self-doubt, I mean. However, by the same token, I think some women could take a lesson from some men on how not to doubt oneself to any great degree. I've noticed in my time around men that they, as a species, do not seem to second-guess themselves quite as much as we do, generally. Nor do they seem to dwell on other people's opinion of them. And that is a very valuable lesson for us to learn. a very serious and necessary lesson. Both the male and female species naturally have a second-guessing mechanism inside of them, which must be kept in check in order to remain mentally balanced, so to speak. This second-guessing, although strong in some men, seems to be stronger in women in general. And this Clarissa Pinkola explores in her best-selling novel, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's easy with a woman's cycles and with the way society at large handles her to constantly buy into an "I'm not quite as I'd like to be" notion or idea. Like, I like the top half of my body, but the bottom half needs work and isn't where it should be yet. Or, I'm not doing enough in my life. Never mind that I've, got 2 kids, one with particular needs, a career, volunteer work. Never mind that I'm single, struggling, without a pot to in. I should be hand carving myself a pot to in and sitting on it with firm butt cheeks that have been worked out for 25 minutes every other day. We have what Clarissa Pinkola calls an internal predator, a voice or a force inside that will try to attack us and convince us that we're not good enough. And just when we do feel good enough, that internal predator or terrorist will pounce on us again or bomb us to destroy our perception. I was talking to someone of a more scientific viewpoint, and they said that this internal predator that I'm talking about is actually biological or evolutionary. Back in the Neanderthal days, if you walked around always thinking you were safe from wild animals or other cave people trying to get you, you would be in big trouble. You had to be vigilant to everything and make sure that you didn't think that you were always safe. So now we still exist with this kind of subconscious where something is always reminding us that we're not quite fully up to the task of anything. Sometimes the predatory source is outer. Sometimes we have a man friend or a woman friend in our life, and because of his or her own inner terrorist or a lack of education in the heart, tries to convince us that we're unworthy and destroy our esteem. They can actually be charming and fool us for the most part, saying things like, "Oh wow, you look pretty good today. I love you, you're simply the best." And then later, "Oh wow, in that robe you've got on, you kind of look like a cow." We will remember that cow comment forever. And if this is the way that someone treats you often, even if it's in little disturbing bits, surrounded by lots of good bits, but it's often enough and you know it, then that might be a predator you have in your life. And if you don't have one that's frequently at you externally, then you probably have one that's at you internally. And sometimes we have both. Do whatever you can to say goodbye to that kind of treatment, or make some kind of strict bargain with it, so you don't get sucked into believing it, because it's usually false. That force is inadequate, but it feels less inadequate when it gains power over you, convincing you to believe that you're some kind of loser. I've had so many girlfriends and female acquaintances, all with their, big or little insecurities, and I've never seen one that wasn't evidently beautiful to me, internally and externally, in more than one way. You're not a cow, and if you actually think you are, well then I hope you sat down to rethink cows. I like cows. Celebrate your cow. Cows give milk, they have a juicy meat, and they look pretty sharp in black and white. You're not ugly. Your art is very important because it's totally different from everyone else's. You're not fragile or frumpy or whatever it is that you think you are. You're not dependent. Your predator is, because they need you to be miserable. They are the frumps, frumping around, living off the meat of your personality. It re-energizes them to chomp on you because you're probably good. You have substance. And if you think about this internal predator, or you think about yourself as made up of these different parts and emotions or characters, of course, the puny, self-doubting parts of you need to live off the stronger parts. But don't demote the stronger parts because they've earned their way to that higher place. It's taken them a while to convince you. Say to the runts in your character and in your life, okay, runts, it's kind of pathetic how puny and insecure you are. Listen to me for a few thousand years and maybe you'll stand a chance. Maybe you'll get bigger. And I don't mean your boobs. I mean maybe their heart. Remember the evolutionary statement, survival of the fittest. You fit into this life as you are. You are still here. And in this day and age, you wouldn't let Hitler or his poor demented lady love have their way with you and impregnate you with their sick ideas. But if you think about it, it's kind of what you're doing when you kill off your interesting characters and you keep the shallow ones that are acceptable to your new team, as if you're on their side and agree with their tactics. You don't. If you're lucky, you have other people in your life who think you're fairly great and they champion you once in a while. What you definitely have is a stronger woman inside of you who loves you. You know that you do. She disappears a lot when you go outside, out there in the rat race. She kind of shrinks from all the competition. But she demands your acknowledgement, perhaps especially in your quieter moments. For me, that's when she pops up. That's when she says, knock, knock, I'm still in here.
7 a.m. So it begins again. 1 to zip, favoring familiar silhouettes. Left whips and chains. Behind, I'm boycotting trends. It's my new look this season, riding on backs of palominos, ditching the blonde shell, working her hell on that red carpet, with girl disappearing. What on earth's occurring? 'Cause she's right in front of me. A girl disappearing to some secret prison. Behind her eyes she whispers, big surprise. There was no protection by this urban light. So I'm running to a constellation where they can still see you. And I'm running to, if that's a consolation, 'cause I can still see
no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. So if what you're hearing from others or from something inside registers as garbage, then get rid of it. If it's not complete garbage and there is a point to be made, like maybe you are being too crabby or selfish, or you need to loosen up a bit, or watch your health better. It may take time, but eventually you'll know if the advice is for you, and you can filter it by noticing how all of it affects you.
I have no need for a sea view, for a sea view. I have no need. I have my little pleasures.
According to Canadian author Margaret Atwood, if you're not annoying somebody, you're not really alive.
Smacked upside of the head with the harsh of daylight. Afraid we've been changing in a way I wasn't loving.
But I kind of like witches, as I do cows.